For me, 2021 in gaming has been kind of weird because I played some games, I'm playing some games, and I've enjoyed some, but like, I also don't really feel like I played enough new releases that I didn't even feel like I was able to talk about them in a video, you know? But I think that 2022 may be housing some of the games that I really was looking forward to. Because of the pandemic, a lot of games have been getting delayed naturally. So I have a feeling that 2022 is going to be where it's at, because a lot of the games on this list that I'm about to give to you guys, I'm pretty sure would have been on the list going into 2021 as well. All right, guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about games releasing in 2022, allegedly. Everything is subject to change. I'm going to give you guys my top 10 most anticipated games of 2022. Be sure to let me know in the comments below once you're done listening to my list. What games are you the most excited for? Coming in at number 10 is the Saints Row reboot. Stop, I've already heard the skepticism. Rightfully so. At first glance, this feels like Saints Row has kind of lost its identity, but come on now, it did that years ago. I believe in this project though. I will consider myself cautiously optimistic for sure. As a fan of the franchise, I really miss Saints Row. The fourth game was a lot of fun, but maybe a little too over the top. Agents of Mayhem surely was a miss. Saints Row is coming out in August of 2022, and it honestly looks like a really fun time. The new characters are anything but bland. There seems like a lot of exciting gameplay going on, not unlike the rest of the series before it. Saints Row's reboot sees you take on the role of a new crime lord at the helm of what will become your Saints. This could be a really fresh Saints Row experience that has had enough time to feel exciting once more, and possibly it will differ a little bit from the predecessors. At the very least, Saints Row looks like something that's going to be really fun to play. I guess time will tell for sure on this one. Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl is next on my list. The sequel to the critically acclaimed PC shooter is finally here many years later. Stalker is a game series that I'm not exactly the most familiar with, nor experienced with. However, I feel confident enough that I'll be able to dive into this game in the spring. Stalker 2 is also arriving on Game Pass this April, so that makes me really excited to have instant access. This game looks very much like Metro Exodus in my opinion, and that is a game that is one of my favorites of the last few years. Stalker 2 looks really cool. It shows some really tense and downright frightening gameplay experiences in this dark world. I've always thought that the infamous catastrophe of Chernobyl would be a great setting for a survival type of game. Obviously, the developers have thought so too in years past, but as a newcomer to the series with Stalker 2, I'm really looking forward to this thrilling adventure as we go through the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Lots of scary mutated creatures and things trying to kill me, factions at war and more should make for a really intense exploration through a world allegedly brimming with branching narratives to boot as well. I'm honestly ashamed to admit I've not seen much at all of the Harry Potter films. It's a franchise with a massive fan base and some really intriguing lore and characters. A franchise that I've always admired from afar. I'm intending to change my experience, or lack thereof, with J.K. Rowling's fascinating world this year. My most anticipated foray is going to be the game, Hogwarts Legacy. Once slated for a 2021 release, this game is now scheduled for 2022, and that is all we have. Hopefully, Hogwarts Legacy will be out in due time, so we can take on this incredibly exciting and interesting wizarding world. I'm really looking forward to this game for the interesting take on being your own wizard at Hogwarts and outside of the establishment alike. The game's initial trailer shows tons of promise, as does the premise. This is a grand role-playing game where you will take on the skills learned in Hogwarts, like witchcraft and wizardry of course, and use them in a dangerous world around you to fight monsters, discover fantastic beasts, training your skills, and learning much more about the wizards. I find the world of Harry Potter to be very cool. The lore and concepts should certainly make for an awesome action RPG in the form of Hogwarts Legacy when it releases in 2022. The developers of awesome action games like Dishonored and the new Deathloop are not slowing down anytime soon. This time, however, with their next release, they're under Microsoft's belt. Arcane Studios closed out Microsoft's awesome E3 this year with the trailer for Redfall. This is an open world cooperative action shooter. It takes place in Redfall, Massachusetts. In this world, you're a survivor, or at least you're trying to be one, as there are vampires vampires taking over. The concept of fighting vampires is definitely a fun one. It looks like the cast of main characters are each unique, with their own personalities and styles in the gameplay and out of it. Redfall promises a world that you can affect by your own choices and actions taken or not taken. Hopefully that dynamic remains to be true throughout the game to make for a fresh experience with a little bit of a personal touch. And of course, the action gameplay should be very fun and in the moment, as is often the case with Arcane. The developers and the concepts presented in Redfall have me really excited for this vampiric action game. Square Enix's upcoming PlayStation 5 game, Forspoken, has quickly risen in the ranks of my most anticipated. This action RPG is set now for a May 2022 release. Forspoken, formerly known as Project Athia, is being developed by a new team, Luminous Productions. They've presented a seemingly normal young woman from New York faced with taking on a magical world known as Athia. The game sees our protagonist Frey travel through this beautiful world. The graphical fidelity of the PlayStation 5 and its solid-state drive features have definitely been shown here, as we are seeing a stunning world that will most likely be providing a smooth adventure. Forspoken seems to have a vast world with lots to see. There's obviously a mystery of sorts to unfold. Frey needs to learn about who she is, where these powers came from, and whatnot. The gameplay combines some elemental powers, fluid dash movements, and just smooth traversal. There are magical powers fitting for the fantasy world presented of Athia. I think that Forspoken is going to be a technical treat. Hopefully the story delivers, and I know that the gameplay will certainly be a lot of fun. Forspoken could very well be a new awesome IP for the PS5. As a longtime Pokemon fan, I'll be the first to admit that the series is a little slow to innovate. I've thoroughly enjoyed Game Freak's adventures thus far on the Switch. I think that Sword and Shield in particular did try to be a little different and freshen the formula, and those were really good games. This year, however, we're getting what could be a fantastic new approach to the Pokemon series. Pokemon Legends Arceus looks to deliver an experience different from the long-time formula of the role-playing game series. Legends is about a different Sinnoh, one of the past called Hisui. Legends Arceus will explore the ancient world, telling a narrative of Hisui and its regions. Legends is a different type of game, most apparent in the gameplay direction. While we see Pokemon being caught and battled, as always, things are presented in a far more intriguing and different manner than what we are used to, and I quite like it. I think the style and art direction are really appealing. I love the overworld feel of seeing all the Pokemon and taking everything on with a different visual perspective. The story should be interesting. It'll be telling us some things in a different way than the more drawn out and typical approach to Pokemon adventures that we are so used to. Legends Arceus looks like it could be the innovative Pokemon game that we've wanted since we saw The Legend of Zelda innovate with Breath of the Wild. I think this game has a lot of potential to be a very unique Pokemon adventure, one that I cannot wait for. In terms of style, Ghostwire Tokyo could be one of the coolest looking upcoming games. It honestly looks really good, hence why I have it landing at number 4 on my list. I'm really excited for this action game coming from the Evil Within developers, Tango Gameworks. Tango did a lot of really good stuff with their horror series, feeling like a nod to the greats of the past in the genre while also being unique in its narrative approach. I think Ghostwire Tokyo looks super interesting. I like the concept of supernatural forces taking over Tokyo, vanishing the city's population. These threats will be a force to reckon with for sure, as you explore this dark and twisted version of Tokyo. You have your own abilities. The gameplay looks like it could be a lot of fun. You're collecting and improving new ghost hunting abilities, and you have some awesome supernatural powers. Magic and martial arts alike should make for an exciting experience, all in first person. Ghostwire Tokyo is beautiful, stylish to look at, and honestly, I could not be more excited for this fascinating new game. Before I give you guys my top 3 most anticipated 2022 games, here are some honorable mentions.
discover what's out there.
Good luck, Constellation. You are go for launch.
At this point, it really does feel like it's been ages since we've gotten a new Batman Arkham game. This series is definitely one of my all-time favorites. Finally, Gotham Knights is coming out, allegedly in 2022. This game is of course coming from WB Montreal, whereas Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is being developed by Rocksteady. But it looks like WB Montreal is taking notes from the Arkham games, as they've also had their hand in this series. Gotham Knights is showing some more of the fantastic free-flowing hand-to-hand combat we've all come to know and love. The combat is such a standout in the Arkham series, so it'll be fun to have more of it, but this time a little different, with Batman's allies front and center. Gotham Knights is looking to tell a really awesome story about Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood. They're all protecting the city after Bruce Wayne has seemingly demised. These characters look fleshed out in both story and gameplay alike in this new title. Gotham Knights is offering cooperative gameplay. That should be really cool. I'm looking forward to playing that with my friends. I think the systems seem like they would lend themselves well to a cooperative experience in a very natural manner. Gotham Knights is certainly focusing on narrative as well as its gameplay, so I am looking forward to both aspects. Gotham Knights presents the Court of Owls. I'm really excited to see what their plays are behind the scenes and how they kind of run things in Gotham. The shady organization has always been interesting to me. This game, Gotham Knights, looks like everything I could want from a new Batman-centric story. And now, I just wish we can have an actual release date for this hotly anticipated title. Now, speaking of the other DC game coming from Rocksteady, number 2 on my list goes to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This has been high on my radar since it was first announced. The initial CG trailer from DC Fandom 2020 had me hyped to see us taking on the role of the famous, or infamous really, Task Force X. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, as the title states, puts players in the shoes of the infamous anti-heroes, being given a shot at redemption, only to now be tasked with killing the world's favorite heroes. The Justice League seems to have gone rogue, thanks to Brainiac. And the game will let us play as Harley Quinn, Deadshot, King Shark, and Captain Boomerang to stop them. I think the concept's fresh. It's a fun new way for Rocksteady to use both their skills and their rights to the DC lore to create something awesome. Rocksteady did such a good job, as I've talked about, with the Batman Arkham trilogy. So I'm sure that they're going to deliver once more. I'm hyped to see what they're cooking up with this. Gameplay, from what we can tell, will be similar for sure to what they've done in the past, but now we're taking on the role of some fresh characters. I think that Deadshot's weapons and rocket thrusters, King Shark and his brute force, Harley Quinn's acrobatics and gimmick-like weapons, and Captain Boomerang's large arsenal of boomerangs should each provide for a lot of fun. The gameplay is surely going to be a blast, and the story has me really excited as well. I love the idea of the Suicide Squad in general. Giving us a team of disposable people and making us fight the best superheroes around should be awesome. Can't wait to see where the narrative goes with the interesting and vast lore that they can pull from. This game oozes personality, and it comes from developers that have done DC right. So I'm sure that whenever Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League releases, it will be a game in everyone's conversation. God of War is one of, if not the best PS4 game. It was my favorite of 2018. God of War delivered an incredibly engaging experience in visuals, narrative, and gameplay systems alike. This was a beautiful looking game, with some of the most impressive technology implemented on the PlayStation 4. The sequel is coming, hopefully before the end of 2022. God of War Ragnarok should undoubtedly be another stunning and memorable experience. The power of the PS5 will no doubt allow Sony Santa Monica to do some amazing things in terms of graphics and performance. God of War's story was beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Ragnarok follows up that interesting ending. The sequel should be a great exploration of Kratos and Atreus' familial lines, as well as a larger world around them. Norse mythology is vastly interesting, and the story shows that
The inevitable Ragnarok is on the way. I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds. There's conflict between the realms. Conflict grows between Atreus and his father, as now Atreus is growing a little older, seeking more independence and respect, inevitably becoming a little cocky. I'm also excited for the conflict between the gods. Norse mythology, like I said, has a lot to pull from. Kratos and Atreus' dynamic and the story itself was told so well in 2018. I cannot wait to see how their relationship evolves as we play this game. The good and bad parts of fatherhood and the strange circumstances that they are in alike will no doubt prove for another breathtaking story. God of War Ragnarok is likely going to be a visually pleasing game with another epic scale. Interesting and moving narrative, awesome combat will be undoubtedly part of this awesome game. God of War Ragnarok is also honestly the only game on my list that I'd confidently bet on being masterpiece material. And for those and so many more reasons I can go on about, God of War Ragnarok is my most anticipated game of 2022. All right, guys, that is gonna wrap it up for my list. Those are my top 10 most anticipated games of 2022. And of course, I threw in some honorable mentions in there because why not? So what do you guys think? Are you as excited for these games as I am? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation about the games that we're looking forward to playing across all platforms, across all of 2022, unless they get delayed. Everything is subject to change, like I said in the beginning, so I guess we'll see what happens, but I'm really stoked for these games, and I'd love to hear what you guys are looking forward to the most. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe consider subscribing. I got lots of things I'd love to talk about, so, stay tuned for that. All right, thanks again. I appreciate it, and I'll be seeing you all in the next video.